Welcome to Chapter 1 Coding for Beginners. We are going to start by opening up Notepad++. To do this, make sure your flash drive has been inserted into your computer, and then you're going to go and find your portable apps or your removable disk. And then once we open it, we're going to look for our Web Design 1 folder. So I'm going to double click on Web Design 1. I should see a Chapter 1 folder and a Notepad++ folder, which I do. So now I'm going to click on Notepad++. Then I'm going to go down and find the Notepad++.exe, and I will double click on that. That should open up your Notepad++ into a new document. So if I go and look at my new document, I look at the tab, I'm going to see that it says new. So we're going to need to have to save this underneath a file name. But for right now, let's check to make sure we have all our options set up. When you go to View, we want to make sure we select Word Wrap. Now what Word Wrap does, it allows that your paragraphs to show up on your screen. If you don't have Word Wrap on, your lines will continue in a singular fashion and you won't be able to see the entire paragraph. So we would definitely want our Word Wrap on. All right, the next step is to go to Language, look underneath H, and we should check to make sure we're under HTML, which we are. We can see that. Well, now we are. Then we're going to go to Settings, look for Preferences, and the next tab we're going to select is New Document, and we want to make sure our default language is HTML. Then we're going to scroll down until we find Auto Completion, and we want the check mark inside the Enable Auto Completion on each input. We also want a check mark underneath Function Parameters Hint on Input. So those are good. I can tell that I already have my text FX character set up. So if I click on that and I go down to Settings, I should have my auto close selected. Now, if you do not have your text FX up here on the screen, just go to Plugins, Plugin Manager, and then click on Show Plugin Manager. And when the screen opens up and is actually installed, then scroll down and look for your text FX characters. Select it, and then that will be installed on your Notepad++. Now here's the catch. Once you have that installed, check by going to your text FX settings to make sure auto close is on. All right, we have all of our settings set. So now we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Save As. And when my dialog box opens up, since I was in the last folder I was in was Notepad++, the Save As dialog box is going to open up to that page. You never want to save anything inside your software package. So let's go down to our PC and let's look for our removable disk. So we're going to scroll down, and here's my removable disk or my portable apps. I'm going to double click on that. And now I am going to go and find my Web Design 1 folder. I will double click on that, and I'm going to go inside Chapter 1. I have not created a folder for my website, so I'm going to go up to across from my Chapter 1, and I'm going to click on the third icon so I can create a new folder, and we're going to call it My First Web Page. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to check again to make sure I'm saving in my first web page. Remember earlier we talked about how important organization was. If you're not careful and don't watch where you're saving things, it'll be hard to find them. We're going to go down to File Name, and since this is going to be our home page, we're going to call this index.html. I want my Save As type to say Hypertext Markup Language, which it does. So now I'm going to save it. Now if I go up to my Document tab, I'm going to see that the file name has been changed to index.html. So this is where that saved file name will show up. So now let's start some of our coding. We're going to put in our doc type, and we want the doc type to be in all capital letters. The doc type, again, remember, is telling our browser what type of HTML we're using. This specific doc type tells the browser we're using 5.0. We're going to hit enter a couple times. And our first task is to set up our container tag, which is our HTML tag. And then we want to set up the language as well. And we want that to be English. So I have my HTML element, and then I have my attribute called lang, and then my attribute or value, which is called en for English. Now, because I have my auto completion on, it will automatically put in my closing HTML tag. So I'm simply going to hit enter about 4 or 5 times. Now everything, all my coding, everything is going to go between my opening and my closing HTML tag. So I'm going to click on line 5, and since we're inside the container tag, I need to tab once. And then I'm going to add my head tag, and again, the autocorrect automatically puts in, or auto completion, I said, automatically puts in my closing head tag. So I'm going to hit that enter about 4 times. Go to line 7, and then I want to hit the tab key once. And the first tag we're going to put in is our meta character set. If I go down here and double click, then I don't have to type it. And we want to put this in all caps. It's UTF-8. We'll close it out with our parentheses, and then we'll close with our right. Now again, our meta tags aren't really HTML tags either. As you can tell, we don't have an open and a closing. So it's not really an HTML tag. We're going to hit enter twice, and we're going to type in title, and let's call this my first web page. Now, the character set largely tells the browser what kind of character settings that you want to use. At this point, that's all you really need to know. And my title that I added in my head section is going to be the title that I'm just going to show up on my browser tab. So now that I've saved this once, I need to save this again before I actually look at or view the website. So I'm going to go up to my blue icon here that says save, and I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to, on my menu bar, find the tab for run, and then I'm going to launch this in Chrome. And you notice when it opens up, there's nothing on the page. That is because we have not put anything in the body tag yet. All we've done is use the head tag, and the head tag only gives information to the browser. But our title tag will be up here. So if we go up to my browser tab, notice that it says my first web page. So the title HTML tag that you put in puts the name of the website up here on the browser tab. Right, so let's go back to our document, and now let's add our body tag. So I'm going to type in body, close it out, and I'm going to hit enter key about 4 times. And now I can start adding information that I want to be displayed on my website. So we're going to put in the actual name of the website, and I'm going to do that by adding a H1 tag. This is my heading 1. There are 6 levels, H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to use the largest for the name of the website. So let's type in Hello World. That's going to be the name of our actual website. So I have my H1 tag in there. That's good. So let's save it. And we're going to go over to run again, and we're going to look at launch it in Chrome, and let's see what it's going to look like. Now you notice that I have information actually being displayed on my website. So let's go back in, and we are going to hit the enter key a couple times. We want to be on line 17, and let's add some text so that we can work with paragraphs. Now, we could sit here and type in information, but that will take a while. We want about 3 paragraphs. So instead of doing that, we're going to go to our tab, a browser, and we're going to open up a new tab. You can also open up a new tab by using Control T, and we're going to type in lib sum and hit enter. The lib sum will allow us to get text that we can use to put in our website. It's really not any type of, it's nonsensical text. In other words, it doesn't really mean anything. So this page will show you what Lorem Ipsum does, what it's about. We're going to scroll down, and in the bottom right corner, we want to make sure we have paragraphs selected. And then we're going to say, hey, why don't you generate some of that text for us? And so right now it's going to generate some text. And what we're going to do is we're going to select 3 paragraphs. So we're going to go down here, select 3 paragraphs. I'm going to hit Control C to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to Notepad++, and I'm going to do Control V to paste in my text. So now I'm going to go up and save, and then let's run this. So we should have 3 paragraphs, but when we run it, notice that it's all in one paragraph. That's not the way we want it to look. I would like to also make another note here that after you make changes in your website, always make sure you save and go view. It's the best way to do that so you can actually see what's going on in your document, so that if you actually make a mistake, you can correct it before you get too far in to your coding. So on line 17, we want to set up this paragraph here into a paragraph. So we're going to use the opening paragraph tag. You notice I put in our closing. So we need to move this paragraph. We're going to do select it and then do Control X. And we're going to put it between the opening and closing paragraph tag. Now paste it in by using Control V. I'm going to go save it. And let's run this. And now notice I have a paragraph. So let's go back to our Notepad++, and we're going to go to line 19, and we're going to hit the tab a couple times, and let's put in our paragraph for this. And again, we're going to got our paragraph tag. We're going to have to select the paragraph, do Control X, go between the opening and closing paragraph tag, do Control V to paste in our paragraph. We're going to save it, and now we should have at least 2 paragraphs. Yes, we do. We actually have 3, but we need to also add coding to this paragraph. So we're going to go in. So even though we have 3 paragraphs, all text on a page needs to have HTML coding. And this one right here does not have it. So line 21, we need to code as well. I'm going to hit the tab key a couple times. I'm going to type in my paragraph tag. And then we're going to go in and we're going to cut this, Control X, and put our cursor between the opening and closing paragraph tag and do Control V. And then I'm going to save it. I always want to be checking my changes so that I make sure that the changes are going in exactly the way I want them. All right, so we have that set up. Let's now go, and we're going to go scroll up, and in Hello World, we are going to add an attribute and a value. And we want to center this, so we're going to type in align equals, and we're going to type in center. So let's save this. First of all, this is my attribute, this is my value, and here is my HTML tag H1. So we're going to save this, and let's see what it actually does. Notice now Hello World is now centered versus being on the left side.
It's also a good idea to keep some tabs open so that when you make a change, you can always go back and look and say, well, this is the way it was. Now this is the way it is. Is that what I want? If I'm good, then I'm okay with that. I can exit out of some of these because I don't need them all, but I do definitely want to keep the previous one so that I can always compare. Let's go back to Notepad++ and let's add a little bit of color. So we're going to go into our body tag. We're going to add a background color. The attribute that we're going to use is the word style, and we're going to type in background color. But I can, instead of typing it, I can come down here to background color, double click on it, and it automatically inserts it. Then I'm going to add a colon, and then I'm going to put a number sign, and we need to get the hexadecimal number, and we want blue, and blue is 0000FF. And then we need to add the closing double parentheses. Now let's save this and run it. And now our background is blue. All right, let's change our text to white. So I can add, if I want my entire page to be white, I can do that right in my body tag, following my value for my background. And this is how I will do it. After the last F, I'm going to put a semicolon. There's my semicolon. I'm going to add a space. Since I want to change the color of the text, I'm going to use the attribute called color. I'm going to type in colon. And we're going to make this text all white. So we're going to put in the number sign in white. Hexadecimal is 6 Fs. And I need to close out with a semicolon. Now let's go and save this. Let's run it. And now my text is white. So instead of it looking black and a little dark and hard to read, it is now brighter and a little bit easier to read. Now, a note I should make about the heading 1 tags, the heading tags are always bolded. So this one is automatically bolded so it stands out from your text. Let's go back now to our website and, let's add an image because we like to add images. We're kind of like that. So let's put our cursor at the end of paragraph 21. Also notice that we're looking at lines in Notepad++, that line 21 is this entire paragraph. So I'm going to put my cursor at the end, hit enter a couple times, and I'm going to have to do some things before I actually insert my image. So first of all, let's go to the browser, and we are going to open up a new tab. And on the far right side, we're going to select images. And then we're going to type in cat. You can type in dog. Whatever you want to type in is fine. Make sure it's school appropriate though. Now, before we grab these pictures, we have to make sure that we're using Creative Commons. So if I go to Tools and then go over to the third drop down where it says Usable Rights, I click on that drop down. I want to make sure the second selection is selected. I want label for reuse with modifications. So I'm going to click on that, and it will open up. All these now are Creative Commons images, and they're free to use. What that means is that people have given us permission to use them as long as we're not using them to make money. So we can pretty much freely use these. I would like to pick this cat picture. So I'm actually going to do this picture twice. The first time I'm going to select the picture, and I actually want to save this directly to my flash drive. So I'm going to right click, get save image as, and then the first thing I need to do before I even save this, I need to look and see my path. Notice that it doesn't tell me that I'm in my removable disk. So I've got to find that. So here's my portable disk. And then now I want to find my web design folder, which I shall right here. I'm going to go into chapter 1, and I'm going to find the folder called My First Web Page. I'm going to double click on that. And here we're going to make a new folder. So I'm going to go up and click on New Folder and call this Images. I'll hit Enter. Now, we always have to make sure that the images that we're going to use for My First Web Page are in the My First Web Page folder in Chapter 1, and they are placed inside the Images folder. So I'm going to double click, go inside that folder, and all these numbers, I'm going to change this. I'm just going to call it Kitty because that I'll understand that better. So you want to give it a file name that makes sense. And then I'm going to save it. So if I go to my folder, okay, I want to make sure I'm on my flash drive. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look. And yes, there's my kitty picture. But I'm going to not use this picture. That picture is too large, so we need to get a smaller one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my website. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy the image. And then I'm going to open up my Paint app. Here's my Paint app, so I'm going to click on that. And then when I get my Paint window open, I'm going to do Control V to save my kitty cat into Paint. So there's my kitty cat. I want to reduce the size, so I'm going to go up here to the image fold section where it says resize, and instead of percentages, let's do pixels. And so we want to change the horizontal to around 250, and notice that it will automatically proportion the image vertically, so we don't have to change that. So then we're going to click OK. And now I have my smaller picture, but I also have all this white, and I definitely don't want all that white because that will look funny on my web page. All right, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to get rid of that extra white. So we're going to get rid of all of this. And now I have my small picture without the white. So I'm going to resave it. By going to File, Save As. And I'm going to check. Before I hit that Save button, I want to make sure I'm in my first web page image folder, which I am. And I'm going to call this kitty underscore thumb. Thumb is short for thumbnail. A thumbnail is a small picture that represents a larger picture. So I'm going to head and save that. Then I'm going to go back to Notepad++, and we now need to do some coding to get that image in there. So let's use our single tag. An image tag is a single. So we're going to type in IMG, and then we need to search for it. So we're going to use the attribute src equals. Now we have to be specific with the browser. The browser can't read our mind. We have to tell it step by step what to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to our open folder and select it. And it should open, if you've done everything correctly, it should open in My First Web Page. So if I look, there's my image folder. The image folder is going to be my path. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to retype this. I don't want to make a mistake in the typing. So I'm going to go down to Properties. And then I'm just going to double click on Images and Control C it to copy it. And then I am going to come back and I'm going to do Control V to paste that in. Now, if you misspell this, for example, if you try to retype this and you don't capitalize the I, then it will not find the folder. So that's why I'm copying and pasting. It saves time and I don't make errors. Then I want a /, and now we need to go get the file name. So I'm going to go back up to my open folder, go into my images folder, and I'm going to click on the thumbnail. I want the smaller picture because I want my website to load quickly. Now, I can easily create a link to the bigger picture from my smaller thumbnail picture, But for right now, I just want to learn how to get that image into my document. Now I could come down here and select this, but since I need the height and width, I'm just going to come and select the kitty thumbnail, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go down, like select it, make sure I've got it selected. I'm going to go down to properties, and I'm going to select the file name here, and then I'm going to go get my details, and this is where I'm going to find my width and height. My width is 247, my height is 178. So I'm going to cancel out of here. I'm going to do Control V to paste in the file name, and then I'm going to close out that tag with quotation marks. Then I'm going to type in width equals, and I believe it was 148 pixel, and then I think height, I think it was 178. No, yeah, nope, this was 248. It'd be a little small. And then since this is a single tag, I don't have a closing tag, so I'm going to do a forward slash followed by a right angle. So now looking at my single tag, let's read this. Here is my element, it's my image. It's telling this SRC that they want you to search in the image folder for the file called kitty thumbnail.png, and we want the image to be width 248 and height to be 178. So now we're going to go save this, and let's run it. And we'll run that in Chrome, and there is my kitty cat. So we have put in a background color, we put in our heading for the website, we put in 3 paragraphs. Let's go back to Notepad++. We just need to clean up our coding a little bit. I have a little bit extra spacing here, so I want to kind of get rid of that. And I want to get rid of this as well. I'm going to resave it. And then I'm going to kind of scroll up to make sure everything is coded correctly and everything's closed out. Now I want to pay attention to the coding colors. The HTML tags are blue. The attributes are in red, and then the values, as you can see here, I have 2 values. They are in a darker color blue or kind of a purple. So if you're looking at your codes and your style attribute is not red, there's a good chance there's an error in your typing of code. Just like down here, you're going to see our attribute is red. All right, so let's scroll down, and if we look at our image folder, our image coding, our attribute is red, and the file name and the path is dark blue, purple. Then we have another attribute called width, another attribute called height, and they're both red. So we're in pretty good shape. Now, a couple things about Notepad++. If you notice, there are little minus signs here. Well, I could go to my head tag and say, okay, I've got this done. I want to get rid of this or hide it. I'm going to click on that, and all of that is hidden. So I can focus simply on all of the information in my body tag. All right. So I can click on the body tag and it will hide everything. So I can check to make sure here. I can check, say, okay, I have an opening HTML tag and I have a closing. If I look, everything is inside the container tag. So it's an easy way to check. All right, I'm just going to turn those back on. And now we have finished our first web page. So let's go make sure it's saved. It is. We're going to click on our open button because we want to do one last check. All right, we are in my first web page. I have an image folder and I have my Chrome icon. So we're going to close out of this now. And we're going to go to our folder, and hopefully it will let me do this. I'm going to make sure I'm in my flash drive. And here is my index.html Chrome icon. What happens if I want to edit this document? All I have to do is right click, and then click on Edit with Notepad++. Then it should open me right up to my document where I can actually begin to work. Now I can also, just to show you this, you can play around with this to explore it. Just like in Microsoft Word, we can go to the Move Clone Current Document. So we can go there and click Move to Other View. Oh, sometimes it doesn't work the way I want it to. We're going to go to Move and let's say Clone to Other View. Yeah, there we go. Now I have it open in two windows. It's kind of like Microsoft. We can Word, where we can do view side by side. The view, move, clone, current document. It works kind of the same way. So we'll just exit out of this, and now we're back to our original document. So now it's time for you to do your own coding. So starting with this PowerPoint, work through and set up your own web page. I will be coming around to help you. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I wish you good luck and happy coding.